What's up everyone, this is Rose from Alley Art, and today I wanted to go behind the scenes of convention prep for CreepieCon, one of my biggest events of the year. This is an event in February, and I wanted to do a vlog for this. However, the event was so packed, it was so busy that I wasn't able to take enough B-roll and content while at the event, but I do have a couple behind the scenes of when I was making some stuff. Because this is my very first event and it's the first event of the year, I had a bit of time to prepare for it. I did procrastinate a little bit, but I tried my best to get everything I wanted to do done. The new items that I did were shirts, beanies. I also did beanie pins. I also had new stickers. So I'm just gonna kind of walk you through my thoughts and behind the scenes of trying to prepare for this event. I also, because I don't have enough actual videos, I decided to also voice over this speed paint at the same time so you guys can have something to look at. I will be putting in little clips and pictures as I talk about them, but overall, I also wanted to talk about this speed paint because this is kind of one of my favorite drawings of Inktober. It is the day 2 one, and it took me about 15-ish hours to do. I actually had this drawing as a whip for a couple months before this Inktober challenge, and it just so happened that the prompt was spider and it fit the prompt. I originally had this idea because I kept feeling like someone, I don't know if anyone else has this and I don't want to alarm anyone, but if anyone feels like they have someone watching them from the corner of the room at all times, sometimes I feel so paranoid and I look into the corner of the room and obviously there's nothing there. But I don't know, I just feel like something sometimes is just watching me. Anyways, spiders, they do that too. They watch and they wait for their prey. And so to illustrate that, that is what my monster is gonna be. It's a spider. I wanted to use a very distorted view of the corner. That's why the hands are kind of more closer to the camera than the entire body. It's very unproportional. And I think that also gives rise to a sense of unease when you look at it. I also wanted to challenge myself with hands. Hands are very difficult for me. It's always been one of my weaknesses, and so this was a good time to at least try. I know they're not perfect, they still are kind of weirdly foreshortened. I still really enjoyed doing kind of really gross hands. I mean, hands kind of look a little gross when you put all the wrinkles and stuff. When you look at anime, they're so like nice, petite, and it's to make it animate easier so you don't have to draw all the wrinkles and stuff, but they look so clean and like baby hands. Like look at the women hands of anime, like my hands could never. But enough with my strange fascination with hands. CreepieCon, let's go over what happened there. CreepieCon is a 3-day event. Last year it was only 2, so this year they added an extra day because there were so many people last year. They have scare actors, celebrities. It's like your favorite convention, but everything is horror related. It's a bunch of spooky people that come together and I love it. It's so much fun. I got a premium booth. It was basically a 10x10 booth that was situated in the very front of the convention. When you come in, you like see me, although I was facing away from the front, but basically one of the first few people that you see. You also had to go in front of my little island to get to where the celebrities were, and that also helped with sales because people were kind of browsing as they were going to where the celebrities were to get their autographs. I attended Anime Los Angeles about a month before for a cosplay thing, so I had about a month of no events that I could just purely focus on getting new items for this convention. My plan for this convention was to get apparel. This would be beanies and shirts. Now, both of those things are kind of difficult to produce at home, but I don't like outsourcing stuff, so I had to do tons of research in order to be able to not only do it all myself, but to do it well. I knew this would be a little bit of a risk because I didn't have a lot of the machines, but I had to get an embroidery machine, I had to get a heat press, and I needed to make sure that I had all the materials. So I needed to buy blank shirts, because I'm not going to be able to make those myself for sure. Get the shirts. I needed to get the DTF transfer paper, or whatever paper I'm going to do to be able to put my design on the shirt. And I needed to learn all of the processes to do that. If I needed to learn new software, any of that sort, I knew it was going to be a bit of a risk and a time sink for sure. So before you spend any kind of money, you need to make sure that it's going to work. So the first thing I did was to get 2 samples of shirts and a couple different types of transfer paper that I ended up mixing and matching and testing out to make sure that everything would work. And sure enough, I found the right one for me. I put it in the washer machine and made sure that all the samples that I did, it would stay on through multiple washes, and they did. So with the shirts all prepped and ready, I had to now figure out what kind of design I wanted to do, which is going to be so hard because I have way too many designs to choose from. But I ended up going with this 6 designs. I only did 6 designs because if I have more designs, it means I have to buy more shirts in order to have enough sizes and shirts available at the convention to sell. So I just went with 6, and I ended up buying 300 shirts of various sizes. Well, up to 3X. As I was ready to put these designs on the shirt, I realized they were a bit too complicated, and anything that I needed to put on the shirt, I had to weed out and make sure that the cutter that would cut the extra paper around it wouldn't be too complicated or hard for me to do. So that ended up meaning that I had to redo all 6 designs in some way, shape, or form. As you can see here, this is me struggling and redoing all of the designs, but I think it really worked out in the end, and the shirts came out really well. We ended up heat pressing it. My mom helped. We heat pressed all the designs on the shirts, and now it is ready for me to go on to the next thing on my list, which were the beanies. Now, I've been doing a little bit of patch making on the side before, so I knew a little bit about how to do embroidery in general, but that was for patches. Way different than trying to embroidery a logo or whatever on a beanie. I ended up destroying so many beanies for samples while I was trying to make any of these hats. Originally, I just wanted to make this phobia design, which went through many iterations because every time I printed it, it was either too complicated, the needle would break, or something of that sort. Or the thread would just straight up sink into the knit material. I ended up searching a whole bunch of YouTube videos. They are my saving grace here because I finally ended up finishing a sample, and for the next week, I think I had 2 weeks at this point, I ended up just printing more beanies. In the middle of making all those beanies, I thought to myself, you know what I need? More beanies. So I had this idea where I would have demon horns on like an angel beanie and angel wings on a devil beanie. After a couple iterations where I did a halo all the way around the angel, I did it just on the A. For the V on the devil, I changed a little bit of it. I bought some red beanies and some white beanies because I thought that having them all on black wasn't going to look as good, and I wanted options. I always love to provide options. And with that, the beanies were done, but now I needed to make the pins that would associate on top of the beanies. I realized sculpting every single horn would take way too long, so I decided to 3D model it in Blender and print it on my 3D printer. I think I'll have to go in depth in another video about that because I came across so many problems and I had to go through so many mistakes in order to get these finished. I ended up finishing both the angel and the demon pins, which was nice, but I was even curing them the night before CreepieCon. Doing these horns took way longer than I expected, and I still had a couple other things that I wanted to do. Mainly, I just got holographic paper for stickers, so I wanted to do a couple of those. But because I had no new designs, I just decided to take some of the old designs that I thought would transfer well into holographic paper. They ended up looking super shiny and I liked them. But now I had one more thing I wanted to do, and I wanted to get a new patch out. So I looked through all my designs again to see what would be a good patch, and I decided to go with this meme sticker I made a while back. It's the Y meme, if you knew, and I did one real quick. Digitizing this design was not that difficult, and that's why I was able to do it last minute. I ended up printing 4 of them, and I still had to clean them up, cut the excess material, and put the back on for the iron-on patches. Oh, I also last minute needed to make the charms for the fluffy hats that my mom made. My mom sewed these really cute fluffy hats. I love them. They're adorable. And we have cat one, we have a devil one, and we have a bunny one. They are so adorable, but I needed to make little charms for them because I thought it would make it a little bit more personalized and really cute. So I made these skull bunnies, these paws. I made a little skull, and overall they weren't that difficult to make, but they did take time out of the horns that I was trying to make because I had to paint them, I had to seal them with resin, put them on the charms, make them all look nice. They came out beautiful and I love them so much, but it was coming to the point where I had to pick and choose what I had to finish. And in between all of these side projects that I was doing, I was switching out the beanies and I was printing prints that I had to restock and trying to get all the stuff like printing and things that needed to be on machines that I didn't have to micromanage to get all of those done in between everything. Overall, I had tons of new items to populate my 10x10 booth, and now I had to figure out how I was going to display everything because I have never done shirts. I've never done beanies, and I don't know how I'm gonna have everything displayed. Well, luckily I had a friendly vendor sell me some of their mannequins and shirt hangers and stuff that was able to make it so presentable and nice. Here are some of the pictures of the booth that I ended up doing. My original goal was to set up a time lapse of me setting up the booth, but I ended up forgetting. And I've done this every single time I've tried it. I just end up forgetting because when you get there, everyone's busy, you're trying to get everything done for the event, and it just slips your mind. You just forget to take videos. Fortunately, the show went off without a hitch. I ended up selling out of the horns, and I had to go home that night and make more, which was crazy because I took about like 2 days to make the original batch, and I was trying to get another batch done within the night. And we got home around 1 a.m., I think. It was very late because the show went by late and we were pretty far from it. So we didn't get a hotel, which I wish sometimes at these events we could get a hotel because it would make my life so much easier. But hotels are so expensive now. Airbnbs are still expensive that it's not really in my budget right now to be able to afford things like that. Also, we were around 2 hours away, so it wasn't that big of a drive, but it was still frustrating to do it for 3 days. We also sold out of a couple other items, but not the shirts, which was really disappointing. Not that I thought we would sell out of the shirts, but we didn't do as well as I would have liked, and because it was a bit of a money-consuming thing to start, it was sad for me that I wasn't able to see the profits right away. But it's not like the shirts are going anywhere and I'm able to sell them at future events because it's not like food, it's not gonna spoil. And just like the pins, because I have a couple enamel pins that I have, I can just sell them until I sell out. So that's nice. After the show, we had to take down everything, and although we had like a whole day to set up, because we had a day 0 to set up, this time we had a couple hours basically. I mean, they didn't say you had to leave immediately, but you had to take down all the structures and stuff that you put up that took you a day to put up in a couple hours. So we tried to hurry. We ended up being one of the last ones there because everyone was clearing out so fast. And during this last day of the convention, we were gifted with a beautiful gift of rain, which happened to pour exactly when we were trying to take stuff out of the car, which was great. We love that. So this is me being really sad about the situation. We had a couple towels and stuff that we brought just in case. So I was throwing that over my stuff, over my little cart to roll out to the car and just hoping for the best. It ended up not being too bad. We were able, because we had these towels, it took the brunt of the water, and everything was sealed inside of bins, which protected most of the things. All the prints were in their individual sleeves, so nothing got ruined. It just made our life harder, and we had to be more careful, and that's why we took one of the longest times to get out there, because I just wanted to make sure that nothing would get wet. And we also set up like we've never set up before. We absolutely slayed it, and we didn't know how we were going to take it down. We had this giant like mesh wall of grids behind us, and so we had to unzip tie them. I don't know what the word for it, that's not the word, but yeah, take them all down, and it was just a long process that I didn't expect. Usually we're pretty fast with taking down, but I don't know, for this event we were just like one of the last. We just hit 16 minutes on this video, and I didn't expect it to take this long for me to explain, but I guess I had a lot more things that I made than I realized. So thank you for everyone for sticking around and going through my convention prep with me. That was really fun. And I'm gonna talk really quick, just one more, about the ending of the speed paint, because I talked a little bit about my thoughts when I started it, and I wanted to talk about my feelings after. Once it was done, this was an Inktober piece, so I only had 24 hours to do this piece. At the same time, October is usually my busiest event month because I have Halloween related items. Usually a lot of the conventions are Halloween related at that time. But overall, I think I did creep into day 3. I think it was around like 4 or 5 a.m. that I actually finished this piece. So I would have to wake up and do another piece almost instantly. And I don't know if any other artists have this problem, but sometimes it's very difficult for me to draw for prolonged periods of time. And Inktober is a very big struggle for most artists, I think, because of that. So after I finished this day, I was so arted out at the moment that, and it was only day 2. It was only day 2 of Inktober that I was like, okay, this is gonna be a hard month. I probably shouldn't have gone so ham on the detailing and the little tiny details that you almost can't see unless you zoom in. It's been a big problem for me that I just detail when it's not necessarily good in the long run, especially if you're on a time crunch. And for the background, I was going to do the little sketch kind of detailing that I was doing on the body, but I decided last minute that instead I would use more like an airbrush technique of actual walls, because I thought it really brought out the dimension a lot more than if I were to do it more like a comic book style. Also, usually I just do a black kind of shade, but after everything was done, I thought that I needed a little bit more highlights, and so I went back and I did more highlights on the hands and other places just to bring out more dimension. And this is what it ended up looking like. Overall, very happy. Once again, thank you to everyone who is joining me on this Speedpaint / convention prep voiceover. I know it was a very long video, and I'm sure that the videos aren't going to always be this long, but this convention is one of my biggest events, so I just had a lot to say about it and a lot to do. If you're interested in hearing more about my conventions or my speed paints, I always have announcements on my instagram.com/owlyart. Everything that you heard me make is also on owlyart.com. Join me for my next voiceover, which is going to be day 3 of Inktober, and I'll see you on the next one. See ya!